Hi, I would like to welcome you today to our webinar with regards to how to make the most of your construction off-season downtime. And really what we're going to be focusing on today is just how to use technology during that time to enhance your businesses over the long haul. So for the agenda today, the challenges of adopting new technology and just exactly what is it going to take to assist in bringing this technology into your organizations. Also dealing with some current industry issues and how can technology help you with that. And then moving into just solving the industry issues with technology. And we're going to be focusing today, as I said, on the Sage 100 Contractor. It is a very, very flexible, very functional accounting system built specifically for the construction, both project and service industries. And then finishing up is it right for you? And then questions. Okay, so let's just talk about what are the top challenges of adopting technology. And this is why using the downtime, because the number one thing that the biggest problem is that time needed to implement and train on these systems. And so no matter how easy they are, it's change, and change is going to take some time for people to pick it up. Therefore, you want to make sure that you're doing it during the slowest period of your construction year. And so whatever that happens to be, lots of times it is through the winter for most construction companies up in Canada. But it can be different times, but you need to pick the time when it's least busy. And then the next one is employee resistance. And again, this is another big one because people do not like change. And so you need to make sure that right from the top, so the CEO, president of the organization, right down to the bottom text, you need to get everybody on board and everybody needs to be going in the same direction. The next two kind of tie in together because it's communication between the field and the office and connectivity to remote job sites. They're both kind of the same, but really, I mean, we're going to be showing today just how that technology can be used to give you that integrated from the field and back office connectivity. And then security is always important, but understanding these systems are getting better and better with regards to security because of all the hacks that have been going on. And so the security is pretty good with what these things have got, and we will just show you how that works. All right, so now let's just talk about industry's challenges and issues that the technology can help with. And so difficult to control and manage your jobs. And so lots of companies that are using the QuickBooks, the Sage 50, they do not have very adequate project costing reports. They tend to get stuff after the fact. Sometimes it's upwards of 2 months late. And how can you make good decisions when you do not have adequate information? The next one is that difficult to determine profitability on projects and service work. And again, we're going to be just showing you how you can use like the Sage 100 technology to give you this with the push of a button. It's always there. And that's because the data is continually flowing into the system. You're not using your Excel spreadsheets to actually go back out and try to generate project information. Then the next one is difficult to prepare estimates and service quotes. Now this is really two different sides. Estimates are more for the bigger projects. Services are for the smaller jobs where you're just going in there and you want to just do a service quote, like a furnace maintenance or something like that. But really there's two different versions of this stuff, and we're going to show you how using technology we can do both the estimates and the service quotes very, very easily and be able to store them in the system. Then the next one is just being able to schedule employees and resources. So it's not just the employees that you're trying to schedule, but it's also your equipment, the internal equipment that you've got. It's also subcontractors that you want to keep track of and do all of the scheduling for that. And so we're just going to show you how technology can help you with all of that stuff. Okay? Then the last one is that difficult to access information, collect time and materials from the field. Again, that's talking that communication thing that we were on the other slide. But really what we're going to be showing you is how we can give you access into this information real time, and so you're being able to see everything that's going on with a project no matter where you are. All right, so let's just go back and just say, all right, let's deal with this Sage 100 and where are we at? So let's improve project management, the first one. How do we maintain control of projects and jobs? And so really what we're dealing with is this overview on everything that your project manager needs to have. And so what we've got here is just a process flow, and it's got, modules that you would eventually, these are the ones that come with the Sage 100 right out of the box. You can also add on the web operation piece, and you can add on document control. And so, but what we're dealing with is giving your project managers, giving your supervisors out in the field or in the back office access into the budgeting, the scheduling, the purchase orders, the subcontractor orders, the accounts payable. Everything that involves with the project is going to be in one spot for your project managers to be able to see what is going on. And so let's just talk about this complete project management process. And so in the construction management side, you're defining terms, you're doing this contract, you're moving over and you're getting more definition and dashboard for the project. You want to have what your deliverables are. You're scheduling all of the management processes, right? The various stuff that has to get done, the tasks. You're handling all of the change order management. You're handling the billing. And so all of this involves with all of this process is what we're talking about as far as project management. And we're going to show you how the Sage 100 Contractor can help you with a lot of that. Okay, so let's just talk about project management from the back office. Now understand, so this is a view of the Sage 100 Contractor from the back office. And you can see here when you go into this Project Work Center, it gives you all of the information, so I can drill down into see what's going on with the receivables, payables, payroll. Everything that we were talking about on that other screen is all available right here. So by just clicking on this, it'll drill down into the detail. Also, it's tracking, where you are with the contract, where the change orders are. So all of this stuff is all being tracked inside of this project management system. And this simply is not available in your small business accounting systems. It's just not there. And so what we're talking about is giving you access into all of this stuff from any angle that you want. Okay? So let's go into the other one, because where else with project management? And so project management reporting. So understand, so built into the system is dashboards, and dashboards we can configure them however you want with regards to different information on them. But you can see in here, if I have this dashboard with unbilled jobs, so I can see that what the heck's going on with Trap and Motel with a $700,000 underbilled. I can click on this and drill right down into the detail from this particular report. Or you can see what's going on with the project's cost to date and everything on projects as well. But I can configure this how I want. Plus, it's also got alerts that I can track. So I can have alerts on various things for underbilled projects maybe, or various other things like equipment that needs to have maintenance done. So I can have all of that with this dashboard for your managers to be able to run. Now, the other thing is we can also build into reports, right? Any report that we want, so, because there's a bunch that are built into the Sage 100 Contractor. But you see, I can see my budgets, my change orders, my new budget, what are the costs, what are the percentage complete. So I can see exactly what's going on, and I can drill down into each one of these individual items again. But if you want to go further, you see we can also put on custom reporting. If these reports that are built into the Sage 100 are not adequate for how you guys are running your company, or you might have some special stuff that you're trying to track, we can easily add that in. There's a add-on software called Liberty Reports that can actually bring in, and you can see that I can enhance all of this project information that I can give you at your fingertips. Okay? All right. So then let's just talk about what can we get from the field. So again, what we're talking about is it's perspective now for project management, but using that web application, which is available for the Sage 100, which is called Service Operation. And so you can see that on this walking shoe shop and on this particular job, I can see all of the assignments. I can see the outstanding purchase orders, field work orders, the change orders. Everything is available to me from my smartphone, or I can do it on a tablet, or I can do it on any particular, device, as long as it's got a web screen. So it doesn't matter whether it's an iPad. The point is that you have access into all of this information from out in the field. Okay. So let's just go into the next step. So what are we talking about? Let's use technology now and see if we can deal with this profitability reporting. And so understand what we're talking about is it's both service And in the Sage 100, service is actually handled as a separate operation, and that's okay because it kind of is a separate operation. Really, it's much smaller, much quicker jobs, which have quotes, right? Not the estimates. And then you've got your project costing. And so really what's happening is this, is that because of all of the time, if you're using the web interface into the system, your time is coming in here on a continuous basis, or if you're not using the web, you can still put time in there daily, and therefore your project managers and your service managers have got all of that information on a very timely basis. So let's just take a look and see what we can get for the reporting from project management. So this is a standard project profitability, right, report that you can get out of the Sage. You saw it on that dashboard a little bit, this under and over billings. But you see in the report it gives you more detail, like total contract, your estimated cost, see profit, your percentage complete, how much have you billed, how much have you, what is the cost to date, what is the income that you're expecting, what is the under or over billing. And if we went into this detail, you're going to see that $700,000 for the post office. It's a little bit different because right in here, right, $700,000, and I can drill into these items and find out what's going on. Because, I mean, if I am the owner of this particular company, I'm certainly looking at that project manager going, like, what the heck are you up to? But you can see that the profitability on each one of these jobs is always available because the information is flowing in on a very timely basis, preferably daily, because you want these daily time cards coming in from each one of your people in the field, and as they flow into the system, it just updates it. Okay. So you can certainly see that I can see the status on each one of my projects and what's going on. Now, let's take a look at it from the servicing point of view, because we've got companies that are also doing servicing, and you can do both in these systems. But the point is, from the servicing point of view, I can start tracking. You see, it's again, I've got my cost, what is billed, what's the margin on this particular job. I've got my profitability that's always showing. How that's coming in is because I've got the work orders that are flowing into the system. I can actually get reporting for how productive my salespeople are, how productive my equipment is. So all of that stuff flows in, but you can see it's broken into the material, labor, other costs. And lots of companies are using what they call these LEMS, labor, equipment, material type tracking. This is usually the engine that we use to be able to track those LEMS, because it's especially important in the oil and gas industry because they tend to use those things significantly. But you can see, so profitability, not a problem with these, with using technology such as the Sage 100 Contractor, because I can generate both the projects and the service profitability with a click of a button. Okay, let's move into estimates now. So in the estimating world, I mean, understand, so this is more for the big projects, but your bigger projects, so everything on your Excel spreadsheets and estimates you'd put in as a part, and then you've got various parts that you will combine into assemblies, like let's say it's a foundation wall, or let's say that it's a building wall, or let's say in the oil and gas industry it's a mile or a meter of pipeline trenching. But the point is, you build parts, you have all of the parts set up in your system. They can associate to inventory if you actually track inventory in your construction company. And then what happens is you move all of those assemblies into the takeoffs. But from here is where the magic starts, because once you say, yes, this job is moving ahead, I can automatically create the purchase order, subcontractor orders that I need to do this. I can track change orders inside of here. I can actually do some of the stuff with regards to requests for vendor proposals. So lots of stuff can flow straight out of this thing. Plus, it'll also handle tasks if you want to, and we can move that over into scheduling, which we'll discuss a little later. Okay, so you can see it's dealing with all of these different pieces that we've got. So let's just talk about this estimating processes. So in these projects, you see, there's actual add-on modules that we can get that will actually handle this front end, you know, the request for proposals. You can see we can deal with some of that right built into the Sage 100 Contractor, but there's also other technology pieces that you can add on, like Procore or Service Center from Sage. But these start tracking all of this bid information as well. They're tracking all of the customers. They can actually give information out to the customers. They can give information out to the architect, the engineers. So all of that stuff can be maintained as well before the project starts. So let's just go in and take a look at the Sage 100. And you can see this is the way that this program works all the way through. And so it's pretty easy to use. You see, it's always got these little dashboards if you want to use them, or process flows, I should say. Plus you've got your menus, plus you've got your other menus up on top. But if you can see this is pretty easy to understand. The takeoffs go to the budgets. You can generate proposals right out of the system. You got your Gant charts. All of that stuff is flowing out of here because really, see, estimating and scheduling kind of go hand in hand. All right? So pretty simple to use, pretty easy to train people on using this software. So let's just go into a little bit of what a takeoff looks like inside of the estimating package. This is for projects, remember. So now the bigger projects, so I can break this down. And this is just a summary of what you end up with. And we'll go into the little bit more detail in just a second. But you can see I can have my cost, my overhead, my profit, all of that stuff being done based on the cost that I'm generating out of these systems. I can come in here and modify this. So if you've got a customer that it's on a time and material cost plus type billing, all you have to do is take all of the stuff, bring it in as cost, come in here, hit the markup. You know, let's say you've got a 25% markup on this stuff, and what will happen is it will update all of the bid items for you and be able to send that off to your customers so that they've got all of the detail that they're looking for. Okay? So you can see it gives you lots of flexibility. Now understand, Sage comes with 3 different flavors of the estimating package. This is the basic one. But if you do need more, we can certainly add more, and it just ties into these systems as well. So it integrates straight in. All right, let's take a look at the takeoffs now. And so in the takeoff side itself, this is really in a spreadsheet type format. So instead of you guys having to go and scribble it on paper and then put it in Excel, where you guys have got all your formulas and you got to keep them up to date, I can build these assemblies. And what this is an assembly that's built by the vertical foot. You go vertical foot, well, understand it's a drilling rig, so therefore they're tracking and they want to see what's going on by a foot going down, right? And so again, what it's got is the labor components. They've got all of the other material components that are going into that particular operation. Same thing happening with a foundation wall. Now this is being tracked by a lineal foot right in here, and you can define that. But all you have to do in here to be able to update this particular estimate is just change the quantity on this particular line, and it will change all of these other ones when it calculates. So it's got a lot of horsepower built into it. But what it does is this, is that it's got these bid items and building items in phase up above. And bid items are just simply your customer wants to see it one way. Let's say maybe your customer wants to see I want to see the groundwork and then the foundation, and then I want to see the building walls all being done, and they're separate. And that's the way I want you to quote me on that. But in your particular world, you're just saying, no, that's building 1, building 2, building 3. And so you can build both of these in here. It's just that it builds a matrix inside of this estimating package so that you can maintain that and give it to the customer and be able to make it for your back office at the same time. But the magic of this, remember that process flow that I was showing you guys, is in this process flow, as soon as I say, yes, this is good, what it's going to do is it's going to move all of the information down into your project and start doing all of the purchase orders and stuff that you need to do. Okay? All right, so let's talk about servicing now. So this is much, much simpler. Now, again, this is using the Sage Service Operation piece. This is the web stuff outside, so I can do quotes from outside and on the field if I want to very easily, or I can do them back in the back office. All I'm going to do is click on this button here, which is quotes, which has already been done. It brings up the quote, and then I start adding various parts. I start adding various miscellaneous items like subcontractors. I start adding labor to this. I can put attachments on here, but you can see to build a quote out in the field, instead of me scribbling it on, again, this piece of paper, it's very much done right into the system. Once it's created, it's going to flow right into the back office, so there's no additional work done. This quote is already sitting there and available for the customers to say yes to. Okay? So you can see that using technology can streamline this significantly. And so what's happening is that instead of having to re-enter and do anything manually, all of the information is flowing in very, very smooth. All right, so let's go into the scheduling side of things. So improving project scheduling and or dispatching. Now understand, scheduling is the big stuff. Scheduling is when you're doing like the Gantt charts. And so you can see that from my estimating, I have my tasks. Tasks are going to be into this project. So now I can put the start date. And if I've got all of the other tasks involved in here, which are coming out of your individual cost codes, then I can build Gantt charts, okay? And so I'll show you just how some of this stuff works, but it's the critical path, it's the Gantt charts, all of the stuff that lots of companies, like if you're working for City of Calgary, you're working for, the government of Alberta, lots of these guys now are insisting that they have you guys under control, so they want to see what you've got planned as far as these Gantt charts, and you can build this right out of the system. But understand, and this is kind of unfortunate, it would be nice if Sage 100 did this, but the scheduling will not move over to dispatching as a whole. And so, because this is more detail, and I'll show you that in just a second in here, but what happens is that you have to go in and actually put the detailed crew that are going to be assigned to that schedule for the dispatching side of things. And that does include subcontractors as well, okay? All right, so let's just take a quick peek of what's going on with the scheduling. And so this is this Gantt chart that I'm talking about. So you can see these are all your various task cost codes that you've got broken down for your company. They can be different. You can start with some basic stuff and then delete them if you want. But you see, this is going to go on for a number of pages as you keep coming down this Gantt chart. This is only one page of it that I've got this screenshot of. But you can see I can build a Gantt chart just by putting in my tasks into the system. My budgeting, once it's done, it'll build this automatically. Okay? So that's going to solve lots of that big scheduling problems where you're trying to do. This works like your Microsoft project type thing, but you don't have to have a second piece of software. Okay, let's go into a little bit more detail now. So let's talk about the servicing dispatch. Now understand, servicing and the projects are both being dispatched out of one place. Even though I'm talking about service dispatch here, you see I'm actually brought up a company. But all I have to do is click on this bar, and one of the bars says job and the other one says a work order, right? So I just changed my work order view, and then it's going to bring up all my work orders, because I can schedule both your big projects and your small service jobs on the same system, okay? So then I come in here and I say, listen, I want to put on, and I can select, do I want to have equipment employees and subcontractors? Do I just want employees? Depends on how many people you have, right? Or you might want to break this down even more by location. Let's say if you've got 3 or 4 locations, you only want to see the crews that are available and equipment that's available at that location. You can break it down by that as well. But understand, all I have to do to make this foundation work and assign it is pull it up, drop it over on, and drop it on a particular, like a piece of equipment, or drop it on a particular employee, or drop it on a subcontractor, right? And why these are showing up in here is purely because they're assigned to this particular job, okay? So you can see that in the detail, this is going to be doing this stuff on the fly. On top of that, these other things, when we get into the time collection, when I drop this job and drop it off on Richard Kenyula's time here, what's going to happen is he's going to get a notification that he's got a new job. So if he doesn't have the access in, he's going to get an email. If he does have the access in, it's going to just show up as a new assignment for him without having to do anything, because this is integrated both front and back office. Okay? All right, so let's just go into the next step. So you can see we can do the big scheduling with schedules. We can also do the servicing dispatch side as well, and big project scheduling. All right, so now let's talk about, okay, improving field access, so giving you access to the information and data collection. Because that data collection is usually the biggest pain in the neck. You're doing these manual time cards. It spends a bunch of time. They tend to get lost. People, don't fill them out correctly. You can't read what job or what phase they were on, so you end up with this big mess. It takes a lot of time. And so what we're talking about is being able to automate all of this stuff, so we can have it with this at the web tablet or cell phones, right? So the dispatching, we can also handle customer sign-offs if you need customers signing off in the field on the particular work that's being done. And so I'm going to just show you how that works a little bit and just pick it up, because really what's happening is this, is that the technology is getting better and better at that all of the time. And so what we're talking about is using, like I say, smartphone technology. I mean, so you're going to have crews that are going to come out there and say, hey, I'm too old, I can't use this stuff. I'll tell you what, then tell them, can you please go get me your cell phone and hand it to me? Because I guarantee that they've got a smartphone in their hand. Now, there is some people that don't do that. I mean, you still got people that try to use rotary if they still work rotary phones. But the point being is that we can eliminate this time card. You know, try to read what this is saying. I know this is kind of small, but you see, if you're in the back office or you're the foreman trying to go in and approve this time card, you have to go in, you might have to scribble this out, you might have to change, you might have to change the time on it. With these kind of systems, you see the assignments show up for the person. Then you go in and you say, hey, I got 2 time entries already done. You can see that they're already here. You can add parts and stuff from out in the field if you want to. So all of this information I can flow, but the time can flow straight into the system. And then you see I can go in and update my particular labor. And these cost codes are coming straight in from your system, the way that you've actually done your estimates. So let's go a little bit further and just see what we've got with these systems. So then the other side, let's say you're a field supervisor out in the field. So again, if I'm doing service jobs, I've got dashboard reporting, which comes right up, and it says, now, I mean, this is pretty silly, it's all in zeros, but you see if I had a call and it's been completed as they're signing off the particular job, it's just going to show up as a completed number 1, number 2, and I can go in, drill into any of this information. You can see all of the unassigned work orders or service orders that are there. I can assign them from right in here. So I can do lots of stuff. Plus, you can see I can go into the detail, and then I can actually come into these systems as well and approve time as people are actually putting the time in. Okay? So lots of access that I give my field supervisors so they can come in and take a look at what's going on with both their service jobs and with their projects. Okay. So now let's just talk about the daily field reports. So now in the construction industry, this is something which is absolutely critical to maintaining control over a project. You have to do these type of stuff. But understand, so in the system, I can actually generate that daily field report, right? By going into the systems, I'm tracking all of my labor, my subcontractors, the meetings, all of the stuff that you've done for your safety stuff. If I have incidents and somebody gets hurt, you know, I can come into and I can put all of that information in here, plus all of the equipment. You can see that I can also build into here the safety tracking. And so any of the safety tracking forms that you have, you see, all we do is we build them into the system so that nobody can get out of here without actually completing all of the safety forms. So you can include it. Now, what's the benefit of that? In one spot, when I'm looking up this stuff, right? When I'm on a project, I can get access into all of this information. Now, so if you've got guys that are coming in, like somebody does get injured, once you have workman's comp or somebody come in, that's when they're going to start looking at these safety forms to make sure you've got them all filled out. And if you build them into these systems like we're showing here with this Sage 100 and using the service and operation piece, you see you cannot lose them. They're all attached right into it. So let me just go back for 2 seconds because I know this is going to get a little crazy. But in this other screen where we were talking about, you see is in here, the generate daily field report. So you're going to come in here, and why has it got partly cloudy in the temperatures? Because it's tracking the location of where you actually had this particular daily field report starting to fill out. And you see as they fill out, they just start adding down in here. So you've always got access to them. Okay? So you can see what we're talking about is giving you the project management that you're looking about. We're talking about being able to give you the profitability reporting that you guys are looking for. We're talking about giving you the access into your scheduling. We're talking about giving you access into estimating and quoting of your systems. And so what we want to do is we're dealing with this overall visibility on your organization, right? And so whether you're in the outside in the field, right, or you're in the office, we can give you direct linkage into the information that you need. Okay, so The bottom line is this, is that you know the status. You can drill down into the cost. You can monitor your progress. You can manage your resources, and you can mitigate risk. You know, I mean, the mitigating risk, I mean, think about it. If you have an accident and they find out that you guys weren't filling out your safety forms, I mean, the cost could be significant to your organization. We actually had one company that just about went bankrupt as a result of that. So it's dangerous. And what we're trying to do is reduce that by giving you the tools, by using technology to give you the information that you need. So to finish up, here's where we are. Is it right for you? It really depends. You guys need to go through there and just say, what is the potential risk if you do not use technology? Understand that we can go out, we can do it with a smartphone. It's not very expensive, right? But then the problem is not solved. You know, could that be the bankruptcy of your particular company, or is it going to be a job which just, you know, all of a sudden you're losing $100 or $1 million on it? So what are the cost implications of not having process controls in place? Well, you've got a project manager that has no clue what's going on with his project, so he merrily goes along and he's got all the people working, and all of a sudden he comes in and he's 25% over because he doesn't know for upwards of a month or two if you're running with, you know, Excel and doing everything after the fact. And then what are the potential benefits of having advanced processes using technology? Right, well, think about it. So your project crews cannot say that they didn't know. They can't be saying we're not accountable for this because we didn't have the information. They will have all of the information, and you are hiring them to actually make the correct decisions based on that information. So once you've got all of that kind of information on what's inside your companies as far as the benefits and the costs that you can save, then you can sit down and say, okay, what's it going to cost for this solution? Because you're going to find that it pays for itself with probably about 98% of the construction companies and service companies we work with within 1 year. And so this is important, even though they sometimes seem like, well, I can use QuickBooks, it really doesn't cost me anything. It is costing you something. The Sage 50 is costing you something because you do not have the information that you require to do business decisions. And so I just wanted to finish up there with questions. I know that we went through this fairly quickly, but I tried to do this recorded webinar in the 30-minute allotment. So anyway, thank you very much for your time.